Hi everybody, Freaky Boy here. Welcome back to Big Picture Tarot. Today we're discussing the cups, and the element of the cups is water. So we're going to be discussing emotions and emotionality. And note here, in the Swords and Wands videos, you heard me talk about emotions. So, for example, the Nine of Swords, I mentioned anxiety. The difference between those instances and the cups being about emotions is that those cards are about the causes and the concerns of the emotion rather than the emotional experience itself. So with the Nine of Swords, for example, the card focuses on the thought processes and all the what-ifs going on in someone's head that cause the anxiety, but the experience of the anxiety and the fear is the domain of cups, if that makes sense. So cups are also about emotional bonds. So relationships with friends, lovers, family, and groups, meaning a coven or church group, a book club, just a group of people that, any group of people. That sort of emotional bond that holds us all together, that makes human society work as well as it does. So let's dive right in. Dive. Get it? Yeah. It's a laugh a minute here, folks. We're going to start with the Ace of Cups, as we tend to do, starting with aces. I want to show you the Ace of Cups from the Light and Shadow Tarot, because remember in the overview video how I said that this deck has interesting use of negative space, and then I was like, I can't find an example of that. Maybe I spoke too soon. Well, I didn't. Okay, I did a little bit, but I found an example, so here it is. You can see that there's this cone of water coming down into the cup, but the arches of the cone are actually made into fish. And if you can't get that cups are water, you get it now, right? So the ace is, again, concerned with all the qualities I named, because it's all the qualities of the suit, but it's also the potential for them. So it is, this card can mean being in a place where your emotionality is becoming important, your intuition and your psychic abilities are becoming important, or starting to show. Maybe you're starting to be more emotional or experience a new emotion, or looking into what it means to be an emotional being for you right now. And also new friendships and relationships and all those things. The potential for them, maybe a need for them, maybe it's time to start the journey, so to speak. So that is the ace. And of course, with the ace comes the page, and the page is the attitude of new everything I just said. I want to show you the page of cups in the Witch's Tarot, and I'm probably going to show you every court card from the Witch's Tarot in this video because they do such a good job of encapsulating what I'm going to say. So it's like they knew. It's like they knew. So the Page of Cups. You'll notice she's standing in the water, and the Page of Cups is someone who experiences all of their emotions honestly, but they don't yet know what's causing the emotions. They just say, oh, I feel happy, I'm happy. Oh, I feel sad, I'm sad. I feel angry, I'm angry. So I like here that the page is standing in a wave, and the wave is going to overtake her. She doesn't care. But she's going to get swept up in her emotions, and this card conveys that very well. It also, I love here, let me show you, there we go. In her cup is a little fishy, and she's very kind of, I love the expression on her face. It's very, she's just excited, and it makes me think of when, like, a kid goes into a pet store and wants to take home all the puppies and kitties and fishies there because they love them all, and they don't want to leave without them because it makes them sad. And some of us adults feel that way too. So that essence, that just love bursting forth, not yet controlled though, is very much the attitude of the Page of Cups. So if you're in a Page of Cups attitude, you are very emotional, maybe not emotionally mature, maybe you're also desiring emotional connections and bonds. Maybe you're starting to dive into your intuition and the psychic depths. And I'm going to say intuition and psychic depths about 1,700 times this video, so just start your tallies, folks. And you are becoming aware of them even. It could be, excuse me, an awareness of your intuition, awareness of your friendships and such, taking, like, just suddenly coming into that new place, but rather than being in the place where things are new, this is, remember, the attitude that goes along with it. And the page is the initiation part of cups. So think of what it means to be new in emotionality and new in a group of people, even starting to forge those connections, and newness and psychic depths, like I said. So that wraps up the top row, the beginning of the suit, the kind of next strain, all the potential the suit has to offer. So then we move into the basic skills and tools of the suit, and in this case, it's a lot about making connections with other people. So the Two of Cups shows generally a man and a woman, usually bonding in some way, generally like toasting or hand fasting, as they are in my Witch's Tarot, and that's meaning getting married for anyone that's unfamiliar with the term. But it's also about realizing that your emotions have a cause rather than just bubbling up inside you and letting them take you over, as they did with the page. Now we're seeing emotions being caused by things in the world. So there's that relationship going on. There's, as I said, it could be new relationships, or making a friend, or having a lover, or getting married in the sense of the emotional marriage, the emotional love, commitment sort of thing. Not, though, like marriage in terms of the ceremony and the commitment outside of emotions. Not that long-term thing. That's more pinnacles. This is about the emotional connection. So it's also about learning to apply your intuitions a little bit, learning to see what your intuitions are telling you, not just being aware of them and having them, but starting to use them. I want to show you the Two of Cups from the Light and Shadow Tarot, and you get it? That's Two of Cups. So the Three of Cups then extends what we did in the two, so it kind of finishes it off. Now we're in a place of having group emotional bonds. So, now you've got a friend group. It's about your family, having that. It could be not only the family you've been born into, but the family you've made on your own. You've got married, you've had kids, you've adopted, whatever. It's just about that the sense of emotional place that it gives you. It's also about, of course, taking that idea of the Two of Cups and emotional awareness into a broader perspective, and realizing how multiple things cause you to feel certain emotions, and maybe you notice you have certain emotional reactions to categories of things rather than just one specific thing. Or maybe this card could be saying it's about being in a situation where you're aware of the the difference. Maybe you have an emotional connection with a certain category, but this one specific example is throwing you off. So it's reminding you to take a look at the broader picture here. In terms of psychic abilities, it's about sort of those intuitive bonds we have with other people, where they don't always have to tell us something and we know it. Or just being aware of someone else's emotional needs, like your group needs, and how you are a part of that. And of course, all these cards can have, sort of more negative connotations, a need for the themes. So this could be about a need for an emotional group of some sort, a need to have deeper connections with your intuitions and psychic depths, and being more in tune with how you react to the world and aware of that, a need for it. Or maybe it's time to stop focusing on these things. Again, there's different shades to each card, but they're all around the same theme. So if I forget to say something, might be a need or a lack or an excess or moving into or moving out of, or all those things they're captured in the Spirited card because these are just the themes. But I'm going to try to hit them just to kind of emphasize them. But so we finished that part of the line. Now we go into the attitude of the line. So now we know how to make emotional connections with people and build up groups. We are aware that our emotions have external causes, and we understand how we relate to the world. We have a deeper sense of a connection with the world. So with the Knight of Cups, we are now seeking to understand the those connections and what they mean, and exploring the world. Remember, the Knights are about exploration, so we are starting to understand, kind of starting to ask why, like, that makes me happy, why, and seeing where those connections get you. I want to show you the Knight of Cups from the Witch's Tarot, of course, because there's a river here. There we go. And so this is kind of following your emotions. It's about following your heart, following your dreams, and exploring what your emotions have to offer, why you have emotional reactions, what they're trying to tell you. I like this card, and you probably can't see his face in too much detail, but he's got this sort of dreamy look about him as he stares into his cup, which both reflects the sense of letting your intuition guide you as well as your emotions, but also that sense of following your heart and being in love, seeking love. I'm going to not just find someone to love, but my one true love. It's kind of that aspect of the card. So this is the attitude that the Knight speaks of, just that sense of, I need to know more about my emotional self, and also it's also about letting your emotions drive you. Maybe you're not as in charge of the horse as you think you are, sort of thing. So that could be good or bad. Sometimes you need to follow your emotions. Sometimes you need to, be a little more grounded and in the real world and see where that gets you. So that's the Knight and the completion of the second row. So now that we've got our basic skills, we start turning inward to learn about ourselves that way. And we go to the Four of Cups. And this entire row is really about the experience of the emotions themselves. So the Four of Cups generally shows someone with 3 cups sitting looking very, I'm not sure what the word is, kind of blah, bored, numb, depressed. These are all words that I think of when I think of the Four of Cups. Remember, fours are about stability, so, and in this sense, stagnancy, because the water needs to flow, and now it's completely dammed up. Did I say the person is usually, there's another cup kind of being offered to them? This card speaks to the need of being unemotional or being depressed, like I said, or God, I just said them and I can't think of any of the words. Numb and bored, those things where you don't seem to have any emotional satisfaction, but you don't seem to have much emotions at all. It's that sense maybe you're not letting yourself feel emotion. So that cup being offered is kind of saying, hey, feel something, let yourself feel something. And regarding depression, it's important to note that with depression, we shut our emotions down. For whatever reason, they may be overwhelming us, so we just don't feel anything. Like I said in the swords video, I had an anxiety disorder for a long time and still kind of have anxiety problems. But early last year, I had a severe, major depressive episode. It was not pretty, but I had so much fear built up and anxiety built up, and I couldn't deal with it anymore, and I literally just shut my emotions down, and the only one that would ever slip through was anger, because that was the one I was willing to deal with. And it's a horrible, horrible place to be, but the thing is, you have emotions for a reason. You need to feel them. They may not feel, good, but you're going to feel them. Let them tell you what you need to be told, and move through it, and slowly. That's what this card speaks to, is that place where you're not feeling your emotions yet. It's curved and stayed. For bad or for good. It's not just that you're depressed. Maybe you're in a place where everything's just kind of calm. right now. Calmness can be a term for this too. It's just that very neutral emotionality place. It could be also, in terms of the other meanings, it could be not being satisfied with your friends and friend groups and emotional bond groups, emotional bonds, something. You know what I mean. Um, it could also be a lack of following your intuition, or not even really having your intuition speak to you anymore. There's no sense of that deeper self speaking through. You just kind of exist. It's not necessarily a pretty place, but sometimes you need it. Like I said, there are always positive and negative aspects to the card. So, coming out of that, we reach the challenge of the 5, which is about expressing yourself, expressing your emotions. The 5 generally shows a person looking really melodramatic because they have 5 cups, 3 of which have been knocked over. Sometimes it almost looks like the person may have reached out and knocked over the cups themselves, and they're just morose about whatever is happening. So this card is about, rather than no emotions of the 4, an excess of emotions. Your emotions are taking over you, and not in a sense, and beyond the sense that you're feeling your emotions, feeling what you need to feel. Now you're feeling it a little too much, and the important thing about this card too is there's generally 2 cups that are still perfectly fine, that have water still in them. They haven't been spilled. Don't cry over spilled milk is kind of a message of this card too, advice-wise. It's the act of crying over it is the theme of the card. But the person doesn't seem to know that they have things that are still good in their life. It's about excess, but it's realizing that the excess isn't healthy right now. And I want to show you. I'm going to show you the 5 of Cups from both the Light and Shadow Tarot and Witch's Tarot, because different reasons. One, the Light and Shadow Tarot, I just love the face this person is making. It's so pouty, They're just pouting and everything is horrible. Even though they have 2 perfectly good cups, there's sort of this luscious garden thing going over here. Their life's not as hard as they're making it out to be. It's that sense. And the 5 of Cups here, I like this one a little more because this is a mermaid. This is a water creature who is sitting on land. She has gold and treasure, but she's just despondent because her cups have been knocked over. She doesn't notice that she could just go back in the water to the things that always bring her happiness. She doesn't realize that there's still good things in her life. There's still treasures, to enjoy. So that's part of the message in this card too, is that you are excessively emotional when you don't need to be, because what you're reacting to isn't as bad as you're making it out to be, or maybe in the other sense isn't as good as you're making it out to be. This is excess of all emotions, not just negative ones. It could be that you like in an emotional bond group, there's got to be a better word for that. Friends, family, all that shit. You are, everything's really just it's torrent. Waves are crashing. Everyone's really emotional. It's a little bit much when it doesn't need to be. That's the point. You're in a place of excess emotion. You, in terms of your psychic abilities, they may be overwhelming you, or you're giving your emotional reasoning and intuitive senses way too much credence in your life. You need to kind of tone it down. Like, you don't need to rely on your intuition all the time, because sometimes it's written down and you can read it and know it that way. You don't have to sit there and argue with everybody because your gut tells you yes when everyone, everything says no, and it's not a problem. You don't need to rely on your gut. So it's that sense of where the 4 was lack, the 5 is excess here. So moving into the 6 of Cups, this is a place of emotional stability and emotional steadfastness and emotional maturity even. But it's in the sense of being in a calm place, but you're letting your emotions flow. You're feeling them, but you're not feeling them in excess. They're a bit more tempered. It's also a sense of understanding what has always made you happy, because remember that was sort of part of the 5 of Cups. We'll see it in the 6, and it's going to bring us into the 7. So This card is a bit about nostalgia. Going to those things that have always brought you happiness. But it's really about an emotionally calm place. It's letting your intuition guide you at the right times. It's healthy relationship with friends, especially those deep bonds that you've had for years and years. That a little upset isn't gonna screw up. You know what I'm saying? Um, so that's the essence of the Six of Cups, which of course naturally leads us into the maturity and contemplation of the Queen. So the Queen is I'm gonna show you this card from the Witch's Tarot, as I said, to discuss especially its relationship to the page. Notice she's still near the water because the queens in this specific deck are always near their element. She is near the waves, and if she wanted to, she could go walk and be in them. She can feel her emotions, but they don't overwhelm her. She's not getting swept up in them. She has to be out in them. But she still feels them. The tide still comes in, and she can dip her toes in. She's also staring into her cup, but unlike the longing, dreamy look of the night, she's almost concentrating and really listening and using her intuition rather than just letting it bubble up and pull her along. She's working with it. Why is my gut saying that? I wonder, should I listen to it? Should I use reason? It's kind of balancing everything. So this is using emotional reasoning maturely, not having an over-reliance on it. You're still being logical, but your emotions are playing a part too. So it's that being in the place. Remember, it's the attitude. It's that quality of emotional maturity, and that you feel your emotions honestly but tempered. And if you're in a place where you're doing that currently, that's the Six of Cups. So to try to divide along that situation versus attitude or personality aspect of the pips and the court cards, because I know sometimes I seem to blur those lines a little bit, and I don't mean to, but when describing the theme, sometimes it's hard to say. It's just it's difficult to find the nuances there in words. So that's the Queen. And so that's the inner work. That's the understanding your emotional and psychic realms now. And now you replace maturity. So now we're going to go back out in the world and really drive home all the promises of the Ace of Cups. And we start with the Seven of Cups. And the Seven of Cups usually shows a person looking at 7 cups, each filled with something wonderful. For example, in the Witch's Tarot, I see a dragon that actually kind of looks like meat. It's weird. A kitty cat, a castle, a rainbow. So all these things that you dream of. That's kind of the sense of this card. In some decks, I think the Rider-Waite Smith deck does it. Excuse me. There is one of the cups is covered, so you don't know quite what's in that cup, and that's kind of a nuance of this card. So this card is about discovering what makes you happy. What you really want in life that you don't yet have. Remember, the Six of Cups, we had that sense of nostalgia of what's always made us happy, and relying on that. But what don't we have yet? What really would bring us joy and happiness in life? This card is about figuring that out. It's about, and that could be, marriage. It could be having a house. It could be having a job. But it's what makes you happy. This is, if we compare to the Wands, which is about that driving force behind you, that's what moves you. But the answer towards what is the aspect of the Cups. The Cups are about your dreams and what you yearn for, whereas the will of the Wands will get you there. So also in this card, there's the sense that you may be daydreaming a little bit too much. You have all these things that you're just like, oh, wouldn't that be wonderful? But you're not doing anything about it. That's the challenge of the 7, is to not only decide what you want, but do something about it. There's a need to move, a need for that fiery quality of the wands to get you moving towards it. But sometimes it's a sense that you can't decide. You need to make a choice. Maybe you've been on dates with several people, and they're all wonderful, but they're not willing to date each other, so you have to pick one, and make that choice when it's not necessarily easy. It's choosing between, I'm good with any of them, but they're not good, with that situation. So which one, there's that not only taking a moment to figure out what makes you happy, but also saying it's time to go for it. Stop daydreaming and do something about it. And then, of course, we move into the Eight of Cups. And it's interesting in the Eight of Cups. Remember, the Eights take the stability and constriction of the Four and double it. So it's about limitation. And in this sense, it's actually about really plugging up the well a little bit. That the sense of you've completely entrapped emotions and now you're moving on, because generally the Eight of Cups shows someone with 8 cups behind them and they're walking away, and they generally have their back to you. And they're generally also going towards something too. It's not just they're leaving. It's the sense. Let me back up a little bit. The 8 cups are generally those things that you rely on a little bit, and maybe you need to let go of, or need to move on from. For example, all the nostalgia things we found in the 6, maybe they're holding you back a little bit. You need to understand when you need to let go of the things you hold dear in order to go where you really want, whichever cup you picked in the 7s, or in the 7. And it's that willingness to leave it all behind, to really go for your dreams. These make me happy, but that's going to make me happier, sort of thing. It's also about leaving behind unhealthy relationships or things that have run their course. It's okay to let go now, sort of thing. Or it's a reminder too that, say you want to go for your dream job, but that's going to take you to another city and you're going to leave all your friends behind. But it could be that your friends are in support of that, and they're saying, go. It's just that it's that transition point from what you enjoy to what's really going to make you happy. It's that seeking out and realizing that you have to leave some stuff behind. It's being in that place where you're doing so. That's the 8 of Cups. And then we move into the 9 of Cups. And the 9 of Cups, as with all the 9s, is about the high quality of the suit, which in this case is love, the ultimate emotion, the emotion behind them all. This card generally shows a person with 9 cups behind them, but think of these as specific people's cups. Cups people have written their names on. It's that sense of, sometimes these cups are like trophy cups, and look at all the happiness I have. But in the Witch's Tarot, there's a woman pouring a thing of wine into the 9th cup, and the other 8 cups are just sitting around. It's that sense of, it's about love, but it's about like having, you've achieved your dreams. You've got a great group of friends that you love and adore, a good family, good groups. All the things we talked about in the Ace and the suit itself. This is about being in that place where you have it. You've found love. Your dreams have come true. It's being in that place where you've that sense of achievement. The 9s are generally about achievement too. So you've just gotten your dream just came true. You just married your prince, to use some fairy tale references here. So it's that place. It's being really psychically in tune with the world. It's having very healthy emotions, but we've kind of gone beyond the self again in this place. So it's really about that achievement of your dreams, kind of finishing that message of the 7 and the 8, which moves us into the 10, where now we really understood what it means to have come to that place where we made some basic bonds. We set the stage with the 2nd row. We balanced our own emotions and matured that way so we could really achieve our dreams, and then we achieved them. So the 10 is aware of that process. It's the fulfillment of everything promised in the Ace, of course. So it's not only having a good friend group from the nine, it's understanding why that's so important to you. It's seeing everything again in context. So you've got your family, and generally the Ten of Cups shows, excuse me, a happy couple and their children running around, maybe a rainbow. Um, it's that place of emotional satisfaction and fulfillment. That's the word I'm looking for. Emotional fulfillment. Um, yeah, that kind of merges the whole bonds and emotions thing together. Um, you've listened to your feelings and got what you need, and you really know you're really in tune with your emotional self now. It's being in that place of the broader vision of the suit, and awareness of what you've been through and why it's important to you. Which of course leads us into the king, and the king is about he has gone through the entire suit in his own personal journey, and he now rules his kingdom. He is let me show you the King of Cups from the Witch's Tarot, and notice his throne is right on the edge of the water, but he's not being pushed about on the water. He is, he's very stable, emotionally stable. He doesn't get affected by that. Even the emotions of those around him, he knows how to be himself and work with all those people. Remember, the king is about that outer interaction. In his kingdom, it's not the richest and most productive kingdom, like with the Pentacles. It's not the most passionate and driven kingdom of them all, as with the Wands, and it's not necessarily the most intellectual and thoughtful kingdom. This is a kingdom where people are happy and follow their dreams, and that's what he. This is the attitude of helping people achieve their dreams, and also of knowing what it means to achieve your own dreams. It's about, it's that you've reached the emotional maturity of the queen, but what are you doing with it? It's that sense, it's being the attitude of using your emotional maturity for some purpose. In this case, being happy, because that's what we all want. And I really like this card too, because the king he seems very like calm and content. He could get up and rule. He's not bored or anything. He just kind of has a smile on his face. Seems very loving. Um, that's the fun thing about the household of the Cups court, is that they seem like a very loving family. Because Cups love, duh. So that wraps up the Cups. I hope this has been helpful. If you've had any insights from something I said, or have any challenges to it, or thought I've missed something, let me know in the comments below, and we'll let each other know how we feel, shall we? Thanks for watching. I'll see you next video. Blessed be.